This is a special video I got for you because I brought you today.
Can I do a video?
Sure.
Huh. Wow. Do you like your friends? Do your friends like you? No? Good! With Zevlor and $22, we're gonna make things even worse. Zevlor Elturel Exile. For 1 blue, black, red, you get a 4/2 legendary creature Tiefling Warrior with haste, and 2, tap, when you next cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only a single opponent or a single permanent an opponent controls this turn. For each other opponent, choose that player or a permanent they control, copy that spell, and the copy targets the chosen player or permanent. This deck has 2 main strategies: cause problems, and also land destruction. Zevlor is going to help us with both of these strategies by tripling our targeted spells to destroy extra permanents, draw extra cards, and annihilate our opponent's resources. So let's start with the most straightforward of them all, Stone Rain. Stone Rain. For 2 and a red, you get a sorcery that says destroy target land. Simple, right? No upside, just straight hatred, just like Mamo Ismated. This works as is, but there's a number of varieties of this effect in this deck. For example, Melt Terrain for 2 and 2 red, pops a land and tickles their face for 2. As per the previous price, Roiling's Rain pinks for Postmortem Pain for each land in a player's graveyard. After sending one there, of course, these both get rid of any land we want, and with our commander, we just get to copy it for each opponent as well. That way, they get touched by our love. Then if you want to kick it up a notch, wake up all your monocolor opponents with Wake of Destruction to blast away target land and every land that shares a name with it. Goodbye, green guy. Are you still looking to play pretend nice? Take Boomerang and watch your opponent's... Toss a Boomerang and watch your opponent's best permanents go goodbye. By the way, their best permanents are probably lands, so maybe pick those. Or don't. I'm not your captor. Speaking of, how you doing down there?
I think most of my bones are broken.
That's nice. Anyway, next up, we've got Cleansing Wildfire and the exceedingly similar Geomancer's Gambit, which can be used to destroy our opponent's lands, or we can use them to destroy our own indestructible lands to go search for our own basic lands, which is how I prefer to use them. It's honestly great value, and you can 100% lie to your opponents about how they're in there for ramp or the occasional busted land prevention if they haven't seen any other part of your deck yet. I mean, it's not like Cleansing Wildfire does that much damage. There's truly a tremendous amount of value happening while we simply take away our opponent's will to play with us ever again. In addition to blowing up lands, many groups play a lot of fetch lands. We're already causing pain anyway, so how about a little more? Dingus Egg. For 4, you get an artifact with whenever a land is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, Dingus Egg deals 2 damage to that land's controller. 2 damage for every single land sent to a player's graveyard makes our land destruction spells hurt a little bit more and makes our opponent's fetch lands and other sacrifice land effects even more pricey to the life total. Protect yourself from free scavenger grounds. Punish those who dare play Evolving Wilds. It's had it too good for too long! But in all honesty, I really wanted to call it out because its name is Dingus Egg, and I find the word dingus amusing as an insult. Speaking of dinguses, let's check in on my favorite one. Hey man, how's it going down there? Is it all gooey and gross from all that terrain melting that happened earlier?
I am in pain.
It doesn't matter. The fans miss you, so have some screen time.
What am I even supposed to... If you want your land undestroyed, tell them to subscribe, that we have a Discord where they can join and that it's free for anyone who wants to come by. Top link in description of every video. He needs to spell this right. What does this do for you? Why am I down here? Hello? Hello?
I have another mic. I feel a lot safer knowing my rival can't get to me, and you can feel that safety too with things like Propaganda. Propaganda. For 2 and a blue, you get an enchantment with creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. Most opponents don't like being forced to spend their limited mana to attack you, so they aren't likely to attack much until they can find an answer for your pesky enchantment. When they finally do, deploy the backups. Circle of Flame poses the question, what's a better deterrent, a mote of water or a mote of fire? No, really, it does. Check out that flavor text. Anyway, it'll ping anything that can't fly over your fire mote for one. No pesky goblins and elves stabbing at your ankles. Just watch out for the big ones. If anything larger than that still wants to attack, make it draining with Revenge of Ravens to, well, drain for 1 per creature attacking you. Want to stop them from getting through in the first place? This Tyrant's got you covered. Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs, makes a blocker for each creature that doesn't pay admission to your face.
Speaking of blockers, we could probably use a few more. So let's start with Judith, Carnage Connoisseur.
I know most of you would know this card for its ability to turn any damage spell into unquestionable removal, but we're just going to focus on those imps instead. We'll still struggle with flyers a bit, so for that, allow me to introduce to you Tolerand and Murmuring Mystic. These two help crank out flying blockers by simply sitting around. With Tolerand's Drakes and Murmuring Mystic's Bird Illusions,
Bird noise.
we'll control the skies. But to get to the point where these two can blot out the skies with blockers, we'll need to cast quite a few spells. For that, we look towards Arcane Melee. Arcane Melee. For 4 and a blue, you get an enchantment with instant and sorcery spells cost 2 less to cast. This cost reducer in particular is really good. Our commander essentially makes our spell cost 2 more to cast, so this makes it the same price on its own if that spell needs at least 2 generic mana. Hint! That is most of our instants and sorceries, and the ones that aren't reduced by 2 would cost a maximum of 4 with our commander's ability cost included. But what if 2 mana isn't enough? What is? An endless font of magic. Unfortunately, Omniscience is a little too expensive in both money and mana, so we're running Font of Magic. It reduces the cost of our spells we cast by 1 for each time we've cast our commander this game. That brings me to something rather important. Our commander. Most opponents would see pretty quickly that this card is rather important to us, and would try to remove it pretty quickly. Fortunately, we can dodge that by using one of these 2 cards. Blur. For 2 and a blue, you get an instant with exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control, and draw a card. Oh, 2 for 1 special! Ghostly Flicker. For 2 and a blue, you get an instant with exile 2 target artifacts, creatures, and or lands you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under your control. Some good upside to this is that Zevlor has haste, so we can even activate her ability the same turn if needed. Or attack, Yeah, so I know I said that the plan was for these to protect our commander from targeted removal. That's not totally true. See, we run 2 cards in here that, when combined with these cards, allow us to draw our whole deck with Blur, or make infinite mana with Ghostly Flicker. Those cards are Kamehameha, Master Wizard, and Dualcaster Mage. Both of these cards can be cast like an instant and tend to cause havoc while doing so, copying things, blocking things out of nowhere, or just sitting there, menacingly. Obviously, I've already said that this isn't our plan here, because you cast one of those flicker spells, then cast one of these before it resolves, have the copy target the spell copier, and voila! Just like that, infinite combo. These combos don't necessarily make you win the game, but they sure make it more likely. I don't have a good segue to these next couple one-off effects, but I still want to mention them anyway. We have one cloning spell called Stolen Identity. It'll let you copy the best creature and cipher the card onto a creature you control, even if it's the token you just made. Fun fact! Fun fact! You cast the cipher copy, so Zevlor can triple it up. The other one to mention is our budget Cyclonic Rift, known as River's Rebuke. With Zevlor, you can essentially cast an overloaded Cyclonic Rift, but sorcery speed. If this is all still too mean for you, you could also just do a completely different strategy, as seen in the deck list in the description. It poses as a group hug deck that ultimately tries to mill every opponent out by making them draw their whole deck. Anyway, go ahead and check out these links and this video on Kaith, where Cody forbade anyone from talking about land destruction. In the meantime, I'm gonna pull the man himself out of this hole, so we can get back to making your decks that don't break the social contract. Peace.
And a huge thank you to all of my members, especially the higher powers, Christopher English, Zevlor, A-Train, Angela and Chris Ryder, and Call Me Zach. I genuinely can't express how much your support means to me. Thank you.